Hello everyone, my name is Rishabh and welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to end the Easy Statistics playlist, and in the final video, we are going to cover the types of hypothesis test or the test statistics that we basically use in hypothesis testing. If you haven't watched previous video, then I would definitely request you to watch that first before going ahead with this one. Link would be given in the icon above. So hypothesis tests are basically categorized into two types. One is parametric one, where we test for the population mean or variance on the standard deviation, and the other ones are the non-parametric test, which we use to check for the type of distribution, etc., etc. So first of all, we have the z-test. So z-test is basically a hypothesis test for population mean, where the population variance is known. The population from which the sample is extracted is a normal distribution, and the sample size that we have is greater than 30. So basically, most of the parametric tests are used when the sample size that we have is greater than 30 and the distribution is normal distribution, probably in most of the cases. And the z-statistic is calculated using this formula given up here. So here x is the sample mean, nu is the population mean, sigma is the population standard deviation, and n is the sample size that we have. So let's see this in practice with the help of an example. The example that we have here is as follows. A passport office claims that the passport applications are processed within 30 days of submitting the application form. The population standard deviation of the processing time is 12.5 days. Now, a few things to note here. The standard deviation given to us is 12.5, that we can see. Now, the key thing to note here is how do we define the null hypothesis and the alternate hypothesis. If you have seen my previous video, then there I have put up a nice notion on how you can identify between what to choose as null hypothesis and what to choose as alternative hypothesis. So since here we see the word claim, that means it is going to go as an alternate hypothesis. Whenever you see words like claim, it's going to go into alternative hypothesis. If you see the word like belief, then that is going into the null hypothesis. So the claim is that the processing is done within 30 days. Therefore, the alternate hypothesis is mu is less than 30, and the null hypothesis would be exactly opposite of the alternate hypothesis that we have defined. Pretty clear. So next up, we import the necessary libraries, and here I'm reading up the data. Now you can see this file contains the processing time, the application processing time of 30 individuals, right? And here's a sneak peek to it. Now we have defined a function that would calculate the z-score or the z-statistic. That would be calculated as follows using the formula above: sample mean minus population mean divided by population standard deviation under root of the sample size that we have. Now we are returning two things. We are returning the z-score or the z-statistic, and we are returning the p-value. So this is nothing but calculating the p-value of the given test. So let's just run all of this. And we input the population mean and the population standard deviation and the sample that we have. Now it returns us two things. One is the z-score or the z-statistic, and the second thing is the p-value. Now, as per the norms of hypothesis testing, if the p-value is greater than the significance level alpha, which we have defined here as 5%, then the null hypothesis cannot be rejected. That means the processing time of the passport applications is greater than or equal to 30. So we have accepted the null hypothesis. Moving on, we have another type of test called one sample t-test. So one sample t-test is again for population mean, but here we do not have any knowledge about the population variance. In z-test, we do have some information about the population variance, but in case of one sample t-test, we don't have any information about it. And it is calculated as follows. These are pretty clear, I would say. Let's just jump forward to the example. All of the things that we have for one sample t-test are pretty much the similar to the z-test, except for this population variance thing. Now again, let's see with this example. So there's a movie production house that believes that it will require 500 million rupees on average for basically production of a movie. Now when we see the word belief, that means it's going into the null hypothesis. Now the production cost of 40 Bollywood movies is given, so that's our sample size up here. So since the belief is that it will require 500 millions on average, that means the average or the null hypothesis is going to be that the average is 500, and the alternative hypothesis is going to be it's not equal to 30.
What?
No, it's not equal to 500, my bad. Yes. So let's just have a look at the data. So we have 40 samples, and the production cost in million rupees is given. Now we are going to use the stats library from here. So it's been imported from SciPy. So here's the method that we are going to use, t-test, that is one sample, and we give the sample that we have as well as the mean value that we have. Now, if we run this, we are also again going to receive two things. One is the test statistic or the t statistic value. The second thing is p value for this. T statistic, we can definitely infer something out of it, but first let's look at the p value. Now, the p value is less than 0.05 or it's less than 5% or level of significance. That means the null hypothesis is going to be rejected. Hence, we can conclude that the average prediction cost is not equal to 500 million. So we have accepted the alternate hypothesis. A way to infer this is, since we have rejected the null hypothesis based upon the p value up here, so the test statistic basically gives us an idea on where does the actual value fall. So it's not 500 million because we have rejected it, and the test statistic is in negative. That means it's pretty much less than 500 million. Okay, now we have two sample test, two sample t-test. Previously we had one sample t-test. Now we have two sample t-test. This is basically used to test the difference between two population means, where the population variance and the population mean itself are unknown. Populations are definitely normal distribution and sample size is greater than 30 because we are looking at parametric test in this point of time. So let's again look at the example of it. How is it used in practice? So if you're getting confused on why do we have so many tests, that's basically to solve a different kind of problem, and that's what is the kind of that problem. It is defined by using these you can say using these key points or these conditions. Back to the example. So there's a company that claims that children who drink their health drink will grow taller than the children who do not drink it. Now we have some data where it shows the average increase in height over 1 year period from two groups. One is drinking the health drink and other is not. Since the word claim is coming up here, that means it's going to go into alternate hypothesis. That means that the two groups that we have, they won't have equal means, or in other words, they'll have non-equal means. Hence, the alternative hypothesis would be that they have non-equal means, and the null hypothesis would be the opposite of this one. So here we have two data sets. The first one is those who drink the health drink from the company, and the second one is those who don't. Now again, we are going to use the stats library up here, and the method that we are using it t-test underscore ind, and I'm not sure what does this ind stands for, maybe indicative or something. And then we are going to give up two data frames. The first one is those who drink it, and the second one who don't drink it. So now when we run this, we are seeing two values again, the t statistic and the p value. So p value is close to 0. That means the evidence that we have is not that significant, hence the null hypothesis would be rejected, and it can be concluded that the increase in height for those who had health drink is significantly different than those who didn't. And if you look at the statistic, that means that the difference is quite big and it's on the positive side. Let's move on. Up ahead we have the paired sample t-test. So paired sample t-test is basically used to test the difference between two population means after an event. I mean before and after an intervention or an event. Again, the populations are normal distribution and the sample size is greater than 30. Parametric test. So what basically is an intervention or an event, we'll see from this example. So given data, we have some data where it contains alcohol consumption before and after breakup. Okay, this is going to be interesting. So now we need to conduct a t-test to check whether alcohol consumption is changed after breakup. So intervention or an event is basically defined here by the word breakup. So breakup is considered as an event. So again, time to define a null and the alternate hypothesis. So here it is not given what's the claim or what's the belief. Then we'll definitely go ahead and assume that in the null hypothesis that the means are equal, and in the alternate hypothesis they are going to be exactly opposite. So here we have the data for it. Let's see. So before breakup column we have some values, and after breakup column we have some values. And again we are going to use this test library, and the method that we are going to use is t-test underscore relative, rel basically. Now we provide two series into it from the data frame, and when we run this we'll get the test statistic, the t statistic, and the p value. So p value is quite high, it's close to 60%. That means the evidence that we have is quite strong, hence the null hypothesis cannot be rejected. So it can be concluded that there is no change in alcohol consumption pattern before and after breakup. I'm not sure about that. So there are other types of parametric tests available, but considering the time that we have available, we're just going to focus on the ones that we have discussed. Moving on to the non-parametric test. So first of all, what we have is the chi-square goodness of fit test. Now it basically tests for comparing the observed distribution versus the expected distribution, and it is calculated using something fancy like this. What we need to remember is what test is used for what and under what circumstances it is used. I hope it's not too confusing. So whenever we pose a real world problem, we need to see which test do we need to do. And I really hope that you're able to grab something out of it through these examples and the conditions and the requirements that I've put up for each kind of test. Okay, back to the example. So there's an airline that believes that 35% of their passengers prefer vegetarian food, 40% prefer non-veg food, and 20% low-calorie food, and 5% request for diabetic food. So there's the word belief, just remember this. A sample of 500 passengers was chosen, and the observed frequencies are as follows. So the observed frequencies are given as this. Now we need to conduct a chi-square test to check whether the airline's belief is true. So the word that we are looking for here is believes, and if something is believed, then that goes into null hypothesis. So the null hypothesis would be that the belief is true, and the alternative hypothesis is that the belief or the claim that they are doing is false. So the observed frequency that we are given up here are as follows. So we have just put it up in a list and in this variable. Then the expected ones are calculated from these ratios given up here. So basically we are creating the expected distribution by multiplying each of these ratios with the total sample size that we have available. So the expected distribution looks like this: 175, 200, 125. Now we're just using the chi-square method from the stats library, and we are giving up the observed distribution and the expected distribution. And when we run this, we are going to see the chi-square statistic, that's 7.4, and the p-value 0.05. That's a little bit more than the level of significance alpha for 0.05. That means that the H naught or the null hypothesis cannot be rejected. Hence, it can be concluded that the airline's belief is true. So far we have been comparing just two groups, two distributions together, and seeing how they, how their means vary and everything. But what if we want to compare more than two groups, and that's where ANOVA comes into play. And it is used to compare mean values simultaneously for more than two groups created using a factor. So again, let's just directly dive into the example to test whether the price discounts had any impact. Price discounts of 0%, 10%, and 20% were given randomly selected days at a shop. Okay, we have three things. The quantity sold in a day under different discount levels is given. We need to conduct a one-way ANOVA to check whether discount had any significant impact on average sales quantity. Again, since the words belief or claim isn't seen, then we are going to assume that the null hypothesis is going to be there is no significant impact or the means are equal. That's what we have defined up here. So H naught is defined as nu1 is equal to nu2 is equal to nu3, and HA or the alternate hypothesis is defined that not all the means are equal. Now it might happen that nu1 and nu2 are equal, but nu3 is significantly different from the other two. So that means that H naught is not correct. H naught is not correct. Nice. So that means we need to accept the alternate hypothesis. Okay, this is given. Everything is good. Let's just see the data up here. So the data that we have here is contains of three columns: discount 0, discount 10, and discount 20. Basically for 0%, 10%, and 20% discount respectively. Never mind. Let's just do one thing more. We'll see their plot or the distribution. So distribution looks kind of different. That means the values that we have or the average sales quantity that we have is, it might have come by chance, but we are going to conduct a test to prove it. We are again going to use the stats library and one-way ANOVA f_1way, and we are going to give the three respective columns: discount 0, discount 10, and discount 20. And when we run this, we get the results as follows. So we have the ANOVA statistic that is 65.8 and the p-value that's pretty low. So it's close to 0. That means we don't have the significant evidence. It is since the p-value is less than alpha. That means the null hypothesis would be rejected. Hence, it can be concluded that the mean sales quantity under different discounts are actually different. It was quite expected. Hope you enjoyed this video and you learned something from this complete playlist. I have learned so many things and I hope you did too. My name is Rishabh and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.